Blog Talk Radio.
Please take all the necessary precautions to protect your It's time for Rage Against the Regime.
Well, wasn't that fun? Here it is, Tuesday night again. Rage Against the Regime. My name's James. Sitting in for Casey Massey. He's detained right now down in Brownsville, Texas, but Casey should be back sometime soon. We're hoping. 903-714-69. You there?
I'm here.
What did you have on your mind tonight?
Nothing. I just wanted to wish you best of luck in getting your show going and hoping that everything goes the right way tonight.
It's headed in the right direction. Everything's working well. Thank you. And I'll put you right back to where you can listen in without having to worry about your microphone being on and saying stuff. If you decide that you want to talk again, you can press 1 and we'll go from there. We had a meeting on, Monday afternoon at 2 o'clock. It was a special meeting at Hawkins in Hawkins, Texas. We had, They were an executive meeting called by the city council. I wouldn't have known about it if it hadn't been for the local newspaper, me being on Facebook with them and them, and I get their alerts and that, which was really cool. So I diddy-bopped up there and then found out that the city council was also trying to put forward a vote in Hawkins that if you wanted to speak at city council meetings, you had to turn in your request to speak at the city council meeting 7 days in advance. You had to list what part of the agenda you were going to be speaking to, and you had to list your questions that you were going to be asking. And they were going to limit you to your question, and that to, their idea was that they were going to be able to make the meetings go more expediently, a little quicker. But what a lot of people found out in the meantime was that in that 7-day process, while they were processing your request, if they didn't like you or your question, all they had to do was take that part of the meeting or that topic off the agenda. That doesn't quite seem right. I know it doesn't seem right to me. And so I spoke to another friend of mine that happens to be he was the mayor over in Quinlan, Texas, and he said, "No, they can't do that. That's not in the rule book to where they can do something like that." Well, needless to say, the city council up here has been all over our mayor and that about this "Jesus welcomes you to Hawkins" sign. That was just more or less the tip of the iceberg. They've been hammering on him for quite a while. And since that came up, Will Rogers has had his coffee shop and home firebombed. FFRF, Freedom from Religion Foundation, was quick to say that, well, we didn't have anything to do with that, but yet they're the ones that are filing the complaints and that on behalf of an atheist in town that doesn't like the fact that Jesus welcomes you to Hawkins. Tough nuggies. Since when does freedom of religion translate into freedom from religion? They want to take one word and change it. It doesn't sound like much, but what it does, it changes the whole concept and the whole meaning. They think they can just go in and take something that our founders have written back then and change it to fit their interpretation of the way things should be today. Our country was founded on Judeo-Christian beliefs and firmly set with the 10 Commandments, and that's what our laws are based on. Why would anybody want to go and say that, our government doesn't have anything to do with Christianity? Well, it doesn't have anything to do with religion per se, but Jesus isn't a religion. Jesus was a man that walked the earth some 2,000 years ago and had a message for us. He was also happened to be the Son of God. He also happened to be the Christ, the sacrifice for sins that finally got us back into the good graces with our Father in heaven and took the middleman out of the equation so we can go directly to him and talk to him without having sin in our way, without having sin to separate us from our Father. And we can go and say, hey, Dad, I really like the way you're doing this, and I got some problems with this over here. Can you help me? And be able to get a direct answer. Catholics, the Catholics, they have a way of going about things. They want you to go and go to confession to a priest, and he'll make intercession for you to God. And that's not what Jesus was about, man. He was about you going straight to God, you going straight to the Father yourself. No middleman. No kowtowing to somebody else. You just go straight to the throne room and talk to Dad. And he says, when you're praying, and you're talking to God, ask him things with the authority that I have. Because when he looks at you, he doesn't see you. He sees a spotless creature. He doesn't see the sin. It's been washed away by the blood. It was a whole lot easier to talk about this when there's other people around. It's kind of hard to talk when there's just me sitting here. But I got to thinking about it, and I just wanted to share that with you. The number 1016 runs a couple of things through my head. We got Matthew 10:16 and we got John 10:16. Matthew 10:16 is, behold, I send you out as sheep in the midst of wolves. Be therefore as wise as serpents and as gentle as doves. John 10:16 is, and other sheep I have, which are not of this fold. And he was talking to the disciples about Israel being one fold, and that he was here to call the sheep from all of his folds. He has sheep in other folds, and they hear his voice. And those he also must bring. And other sheep I have, which are not of this fold, them also I must bring. And they shall hear my voice, and there shall be one fold and one shepherd. We're in this with Israel. If you're a Christian, you're in it with Israel. There are cousins, there are brothers, however you want to look at it. We're all of one fold. What's going on with Obama and the Iran nuclear deal and telling Israel they've got to fend for themselves and everything else, I don't agree with that. I don't agree with it whatsoever. I don't think Iran needs a bomb. I don't think that they need that $100 billion cut loose so they can figure out more ways and finance more ways to terrorize us, to kill us. That's their main objective. Kill us. I ain't ready to be killed. I think anybody that helps them to hurt me ain't looking out for my best interest. He tries to tell Iran that they are that America is a Muslim country. It's not. He tried to say that, the United States was based in Muslim, in Muslim custom. It's not. One thing I like about Ted Cruz, he just added let me put it to you like this. I'm going to read to you a short piece out of Shobit Foundation, June 10th, 2015. In general, designated terrorist group CAR is demanding that Republican presidential candidate and Texas Senator Ted Cruz remove Kevin Kokeji as his state chairman for Tennessee because of his long-standing support of anti-Islamification and anti-Sharia causes, making it one of the best reasons to support Ted Cruz for president. And from the venture, it says, if Senator Cruz chooses to keep Mr. Kokeji on his campaign staff, it would serve as an endorsement of anti-Muslim hate, said CAR Government Affairs Manager Robert McCaw. Where did they get a guy named Robert McCaw to speak for CAR? That's just strange. In the past few months, Senator Cruz has attended several conferences featuring notorious Islamophobes such as Robert Spencer and Frank Gaffney. Despite calls to distance himself from such anti-Muslim bigots, it would seem that Senator Cruz is only drawing closer to hate mongers. How can you call Ted Cruz a hate monger because he's against Sharia law? How backwards is that? I mean, that's just how bass-ackwards their thinking is. It's ridiculous. As chairman of the Williamson County Republican Party, Kokeji oversaw the adoption of a resolution condemning Tennessee Governor Bill Hougham for appointing a Muslim lawyer to the State Department of Economic and Community Development. Well, I'd have a problem with that too. Islam is not America's friend. Right now, they're chanting every day over their death to America, and they're laughing at us. They're going, man, we got everything we wanted and didn't have to give up nothing. I'm going to check this number, 469-964. 469-964. You're on the air. You got anything to say? $469-964. Guess not. Well, if Ted Cruz is anti-Muslim, that gives him another 100 points up in my bucket. Dead silence. I can't get on a roll to save my life. You'd think that doing this every Tuesday would get a little bit easier, but I'm telling you, man, it's not so easy to sit up here and just talk about what's really ticking you off. We got people in the town where I live that are actively trying to burn a guy's house down because he endorses a sign that says Jesus welcomes you to Hawkins. Right here in my own town, I got people like that. If you look around, I'm sure in your hometown, you're going to find people like that too. How did they get that way? What did happen in their lives that was so tragic that they had to turn all that hate outward to other people? You know, I mean, if a Christian's going along, he's happy with his life, man, and he's helping other people, and you know, and he's looking after his, you know, the sick people in, you know, in his community, and he's just being a regular guy, and he happens to believe in God. Why do you take such issue with him at his beliefs? At the very foundation of his belief system. There's Jesus. He never hurt anybody. He never did nothing to nobody. And he got hung on a cross and died for our sins. The only guy that was walking the face of the earth that hadn't sinned. And he gets loaded with all of it. Not just all of it in that day. Not just all of it in that time. But all of it. All of sin. Period. The debt for sin has been paid for with the blood of Jesus Christ. Jesus the Christ. Christ is not his last name. Christ denotes he is the sacrifice. That's what Christ is, a sacrifice. You know, I've seen on a lot of jokes and stuff and everything. There's a good one that goes around in the Christian community. One day God's up in heaven and he looks over at his son and he says, "Hey, I got something for you to go do, man. I got a job for you." No, you don't need to pack the whole toolbox, man. Just get that hammer over there and 3 nails. That'll get her done. And I'll see you back here when you get finished. For a father, that's pretty poignant to me, for me to look over at my son and tell him to go do something that is going to be extremely painful, extremely hurtful, that is going to literally destroy him. I can't imagine what God was thinking when he done that, because he's infinite, I'm finite. I couldn't look at my son and ask him to go do something like that. Could I ask him to go do something like that knowing that I could heal him and make him 100% whole again? That's still a hell of a thing to ask somebody that you love to go through. Jesus on the Mount of Olives, when he was praying and everybody else was sleeping, he asked his Father if he could sidestep that issue and not go to that cross, not go through that anguish and pain, not go through that cat of nine tails and those lashes that ripped the flesh from his bone. His dad said, no, you got to do it. There's nobody else that can do it, son. You got to. If you don't, all of them will burn in hell forever. If you don't do it, all of them are going to burn in hell forever. I can't help it. I'm sorry. I can't have sin. I will not abide sin. I'm not going to tolerate sin. And they can't help it. So I'm asking you to go down there, and I'm asking you to do this, because there are some of them that are well worth saving, and that is the only way that I can figure out to save them, is if you go do that. So Jesus, he had his second thoughts, and he asked, Father, take this cup from me. I don't want to drink out of it, man. I don't want to do this. What you're asking is going to be, it's going to hurt. But if it means keeping my brothers and sisters from burning in hell forever, I got you, Pop. I'll get it done. And he was delivered to Pilate, and he was beaten. And the guards gambled for his cloak. And they stuck a crown of thorns on his head. And they made him drag that cross. And when he got to the hill, they nailed him to it. And they stood it up. And he hung there. That's what God asked him to do, so that me and you had an opportunity not to burn in hell. And he did it. Three days later, stones rolled away, tomb's empty, and he's risen. And he's back with the Father. And he has something that he didn't have before he went down to earth. He has us. He has us. What people do with that gift is absolutely amazing. He didn't say, you go out and you build a hospital, you tend the sick, you take care of the poor, you defend the weak, and then you come talk to me and we'll talk about you getting into heaven. He didn't say that at all. He says, baby, you come to me as you are. You confess your sin. And you confess that I'm the only way to heaven, that I am the Son of God, that you put your faith in me to get you there. And your sin is forgiven. You have no sin anymore. Not one stain, because one stain would keep you out of heaven. There is not one stain on you now once you have accepted the gift of Christ. And that's it. It's a free gift. And for all these folks that want to sit back and say, there is no heaven, there is no hell, there's just oblivion, I got some bad news for you. I know there's something after this life because I've been there. I've been dead. Jesus said that everybody that believes on him without seeing the works and miracles that he did, we are going to be blessed that much more, because he knows that just like Thomas was doubting and he had to stick his finger in his wound to believe him, that it was him standing there. He knows that we have a problem with that. He also said that if you got the faith the size of a grain of a mustard seed, which is an itty-bitty, teeny-tiny thing, you can move mountains. I believe in God. I hope that you do too. If you've been hearing about Jesus, and if this Jesus welcomes you to Hawkins sign has caused you to look and wonder, and you hear a little quiet voice saying, hey, you might want to check this out. Hey, time's short. You might want to listen. I pray you do, brother, sister. It's a free gift. I hope you take advantage of it. John 10:16. And other sheep I have, which are not of this fold. And he was talking about the Jews. He was talking to Jews about going someplace else and spreading the good word, the good news, the gospel of Jesus Christ. I need you to go out into these other lands, to these other places, and tell them what you have seen. Tell them. Witness for me. I'm not asking you to lie. I'm just telling you to tell the truth about what you have seen. And let them make that decision on their own. Don't try to shove it down their throats. For Pete's sake, don't do that. I have another fold, and they will hear my voice. When you go and you speak to them about me, they will understand, and they'll believe you, because through you they are hearing my voice. Through you spreading the gospel of Jesus Christ, people hear the voice of Jesus. If you're walking through a store and you have an opportunity to discuss something with somebody, without putting it down their throats, without forcing it on them. Take that opportunity. That may be the one opportunity that they needed to hear. Just that one more little word that would have melted that heart. They wouldn't have had a hard heart like Nebuchadnezzar. Their heart wouldn't have been so hard. Almost, he cried. Almost, I can believe. Don't try to force it down other people's throats that don't want to hear it. We've got atheists here in town. I wouldn't try to convert them for nothing in the world. They already know about Jesus Christ. They already know the good news. They've already heard the good news, and they have turned their backs on it. I said, you're full of crap. Mister, you don't know what you're talking about. There ain't nobody after I'm gone. The whole universe was created by accident. Physics, that's what did it. We understand physics and the laws of physics, and that's what, yeah, that's it. It was just a natural thing that came along. Just naturally occurred. The whole universe, all the universes naturally occurred. How many Big Bangs were there? Well, now they're saying there was one Big Bang that created everything. Who pushed the button on that job? Wasn't me. Well, that I know of anyway. Somebody did it. We're here. We're talking about it. It's in your conscious somewhere. Maybe it's buried deep down in your subconscious. But you know that there is a higher power. You can call him anything you want to, but there is a higher power. And I choose to acknowledge Jesus Christ as my Savior and Lord. And He is. Every day they're finding out more and more stuff that was in the Bible and is getting dug up in anthropological digs all throughout Iran, Iraq, Israel. They're finding more and more things that back up the stories in the Bible to where they're not just fables, they're actually true. I hope they dig up enough for you to realize that it's real and that you need to accept Jesus Christ in your life. I really do. Brother, sister, I don't want to see you burn. I don't want to see you burn. These guys here in Hawkins, they've had that opportunity, and well, I say, oh no, it doesn't have anything to do with that. It has to do with separation of church and state. Wouldn't make any difference what that sign said. It had any kind of religious connotation whatsoever, and it's on city property. I don't care. I'm a legalist, and by gosh, it's not supposed to be there. Well, you're wrong, dude. You're absolutely wrong. It's freedom of religion, not freedom from religion. Go look it up. You can try to mouse it around or turn it around all you want to, and it is what it is. You can say, oh, I'm a devout Christian, but that can't be on city property. Can't be on state property. 10 Commandments can't be in, at the state capitol in Texas. Yeah, it can. We done said it can. You done tried to say, no, we can't. We done told you, yes, we can, and yes, we will. And it's staying and ain't going nowhere. Mississippi prayers allowed back in school now. God bless them. these people here, why do they want to take issue? It's not a Baptist sign. It's not a Methodist sign. It's not a Pentecostal sign. It's not a Catholic sign. Sign simply says, Jesus welcomes you to Hawkins. And you hate your family so much that just sets you off every time you see it. And you want to use the excuse of the separation of church and state. You want to get so blatant about it that you go and you firebomb the mayor's house in business because you're that upset. I don't get it. I don't get how you can even equate it that way. I mean, dude, you're going reprobate. You've lost all sight of reality. I mean, how twisted. What twisted you that way, man? You know, if it hurts that much, don't you know that that burden can be lifted from you? That pain can be erased from you? If you just get down on your knees and say, Father, I'm sorry I sinned. God, please forgive me. I don't want to feel this hatred anymore. Take it away. And he will. He will. He's faithful that way. He took a lot of things away from me that I didn't want, didn't need. And he took away a lot of things that I thought I couldn't live without. And when they were gone, I never even noticed they were gone, dude. It was like, hey, didn't you, no, I ain't done that in a long time. Don't you want to? Nah, as a matter of fact, I don't. Never even crosses my mind anymore until you brought it up. But hey, you know, more power to it if that's what you need. It doesn't bother me none. I ain't got nothing to do with it. And I'm glad. I'm glad he took that from me. I am so glad. There was a preacher in a little town in Mississippi, in Corinth, Mississippi. His name was Bill Wages. And Brother Bill Wages was a World War II vet. And he was also in Korea. And he did not have foxhole religion. He was a Christian before he joined, and he saw a lot of stuff there. And listen to that man tell people and explain to people out of the New Testament, King James Version New Testament, he would be proud to tell you, out of my Bible, King James Version. That man's voice, he could paint pictures with his words. He was just extremely eloquent, loud, an excellent voice. And this guy's like 6'4", 6'2", somewhere in there, 240, 250. Wasn't no little guy either. And when he preached, it was absolutely amazing. It was during one of his sermons that it really hit me that I had not only gone away from God, but I had gone away from my family, from the people that loved me. I had went down a path that was just hideous to them. And I didn't think there was any way back. Absolutely no way back. How could anybody do the things that I had done and be forgiven? I didn't talk to them for years because I thought that I had done something that never could be forgiven. In just that same way, I thought I had done so much that there's no way that God could forgive me for the things that I had done. There's no possible way. And Brother Bill explained to me, he says, that's what Jesus Christ is there for, son. That's why he died on that cross on Calvary. That's why he did what he did. And I accepted Jesus into my heart again. And I accepted the forgiveness that comes with it. And right then my burdens were lifted. My shoulders must have sprang up a good 2 inches from the weight lifted off of them. That churning, gnawing feeling inside that there was just no hope and everything was just hideous was gone. It was a new day. And I didn't see how Jesus could make the changes in me that he did at that time. But he did make those changes. And I have not missed anything that he has changed. If you're sitting there right now and you're thinking, man, me too. Just ask him into your heart. Ain't got to be nobody else there with you. Confess to him that you're a sinner and that you recognize him for who he is. And you accept the gift that he's giving. Don't wait. With everything going on in the world today, you may not have another 10 seconds, much less another 10 years or 10 minutes. Don't wait. Don't give the devil that pleasure of knowing that he's got somebody else down there that's going to be frying right along with him. Hell was designed for the devil. It wasn't designed for you and me, brother. We ain't built to take it. It's not something we were intended to be involved in. But we are. Accept that gift of Christ if you can. Matthew 10:16, behold, I send you out as sheep in the midst of wolves. Be ye therefore wise as serpents and as gentle as doves. Well, let's get on to another subject. But let's do it after this prayer. For those of you that have accepted God into your life and accepted the gift of Christ, and those of you that haven't, I'm going to pray the Lord's Prayer, and I hope that you hear him knocking at the door and let him in. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day, Father, give us our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us, Lord. Lead us not into temptation. Father, don't let me be tempted. Don't let me fall. Don't let my brothers and sisters be tempted. Keep them from the temptation. Don't let them sin, Father. Bury it, hide it away from them. Don't let them be tempted. Lead us not into temptation, Lord, but deliver us from all evil. That means these slimy politicians that are trying to jack us around right now. That means from terrorists. That means from thieves. That means from everybody, Lord. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory forever and ever. Amen. I'm not adding to the Lord's Prayer. I'm just kind of expanding on how it hits me. Praying's not supposed to be done in public. He says, go to your prayer closets and pray. Otherwise, all you're doing is being a dig me. I'm not into that dig me thing. That's about all I got to say tonight. I'm going to try that 469 number 94. If you're there, say something. 469.
Hello.
Hey.
How you doing, brother?
Man, I'm a little set back right now.
I've been kind of listening off and on. I haven't heard everything you've been saying. I'm doing too many things at once here, but I've been on the call. Kind of quiet tonight, huh?
Man, let me tell you. I get to thinking about some of the things that they're trying to do, and it just blows my mind. You know, you've got Megyn Kelly and all that kind of stuff, you know, they getting on Trump with that jacked up question. I mean, she could have asked him about anything. She could have asked him about, you know, the border, She could have asked him about the Iran nuclear deal. She could have asked him about anything. And what did she bring up? A statement he made about fat bitches.
Yeah.
I mean, what kind of junk is that? You know, she had a perfect opportunity to do something decent, and she went and cheapened it out that way. So I don't know. I really ain't got no. Every time I think about that kind of stuff, it's kind of irksome. And hell, her and Trump are probably real good friends and everything. And if it got him more numbers, you know, in the polls, which it did, I don't think she was trying to do that, but that's the way it turned out. Hey, you know what? They're a lot smarter than I am. Maybe they did plan it that way. I don't know. But it sure didn't seem.
It was an effort to tear him down. Fox News has been in bed with the other side for a while now. I mean, there was a time that we could count on them. You know, you could watch your evening news and then you could flip over to Fox and get the truth. And that's not really the case anymore. You know, they're all establishments all the time. You know, they're no different than Boehner, McConnell, McCain, Lindsey Graham, any of those. I can tell you what I think of them, but I try not to use that type of language.
Yeah, bunch of rhinos.
Fox is, they're just part of that same, you know, it's just the establishment. So yeah, it was an effort to try to tear him down. What they may have underestimated is that people we're fed up. You know, we are fed up with traitors. You know, the other side of the aisle. So that's the enemy. Okay, we're accustomed to that. We can see the enemy. We I don't know if we understand them, but we know what to expect from the enemy. But when the people that are supposed to be on your side, that you vote for, that you elect, that promise you things they know you want to hear, and then they stab you in the back, they betray you, they betray their oath of office on a pretty much daily basis, people are fed up with it, and they want something else. I'm sure if we really got into the heart of where Trump stands on every issue, I could probably disagree with him on a number of things, but I'm on his side right now. You know, if it gets closer to the showdown, that might change, but I'm fed up. I'm fed up with the establishment, all of it.
I agree.
We want something different.
I keep thinking, you know, what if Trump and Cruz got together? Wouldn't that be a heck of a ticket?
I'd like that. Trump and Cruz, that would be good. Trump, the only way he's part of the ticket is if he's the nominee, because he couldn't play second fiddle to anybody. I mean, there's no way he could be vice president. Vice president doesn't really do anything, and he couldn't do that. So, like you said, if it was Trump Cruz or Trump Ryan.
Yeah, I don't know. You see, with all the people that are running right now, you talk about a hell of a cabinet. You got Gowdy, you know, if he took a part in it as the new attorney general in that.
Oh, yeah.
And then from there, it went from Trump, Cruz, Trump to Gowdy, you know, and they got, you know, three of them in the mix. It's just Trump and Cruz, we'd have 16 years of America first, you know. It wouldn't be none of this, you know, oh, we're apologizing for being so great. It's, come on. You know, we'll help you be great, but we need to apologize for it, Bubba.
What a badass attorney general Gowdy would make for him. That would be awesome.
No kidding. And the one thing that I worry about is that whichever one of them gets to be president, just as long as they don't pardon friggin' Obama once he's arrested and jailed or brought up on charges and stuff. I don't want him to get the Richard Nixon treatment at all. I want that boy to go to jail and then some. You know, I mean, giving us away to Iran like that. Oh, we don't even know what's in the side deals. My ass.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what's in the side deals. The death of America. The death of Israel. Wiped off the friggin' face of the map. But Israel ain't going to go down without a fight. They're not going to sit there and let Iran become a nuclear who's and what over nothing. They're going to toast them. I hope they do. I can't believe that part of the Iran deal is that we would defend Iran against Israel if Israel attacks. I'm going, you gotta friggin' be kidding me.
Yeah.
Well,
now you can see it lining up. You can see it all lining up right now. You can almost predict, just how. I mean, it's been predicted, but I mean, you can see it, just how it's going to line up and how it's going to go down. What none of us expected is that as a nation, not each and every one of us, but as a nation, we're actually going to be on the wrong side of it.
Ain't that a kick?
I never dreamed that was going to happen.
If you'd have told me that 10 years ago, I'd have slapped you and called you a damn liar.
Yeah.
Ain't no way America's going to go that way. We're not going to stand by and let that happen. But I'll be dipped in horse shit if we ain't. Well, the administration is anyway. It's phenomenal. And come to find out that a lot of them, it was like Kerry, he's got, his son-in-law or something like that is Muslim. And then he converted to Islam, and then we've got another one that's in another high office in that. And then come to find out he converted to Islam when he was over in Iran or Iraq, and what the heck, how in God's green earth did that come about? But he, and it's His infinite wisdom, and it's the end of times. And it's coming to pass. And we got Russia just docked up a bunch of destroyers and stuff over in China, for war game exercises. And this is probably over the islands that China, the man-made islands that China's trying to build off the China Sea to stretch their stuff out a little bit more, to spread their wings a little bit farther.
Yeah.
So, they've already found another, a missile base on one of them. So, here we are, it's Cuba all over again, except it's in China, right off, Taiwan and everything. So there's a big chess game going, and it's in the book of Revelations. I'm so glad that we wind up on the right side of it. If I hadn't read that book and knew how it came out, I'd be scared shitless right now. But hey, well, damn. What are you gonna do? We got people.
As a nation, we're on the wrong side of it now. Christians, people that see and understand, what's going on. Each individual is we have, free will. You have your own choice. We have our own choice to make. But as a nation, Obama has told Iran he would defend them against Israel. Well, God told Abraham, I will bless you and your descendants. I will bless those that bless you. I will curse those that curse you. I believe we as a nation cursed Israel the day that Obama was elected the first time. I believe that was a sort of a tipping point, going back several years now, But I really believe as a nation, again, not each and every one of us, but as a nation, we cursed Israel the day Obama was elected.
That's when it became a proven fact that we are a lawless nation. Right there.
But if our government raises a finger, if they raise their hand against Israel when Israel strikes at Iran, which is coming quite soon, I don't know. It's it's going to touch off World War III when it happens. When Iran gets close to having, they've either already got the bomb or they're very close right now. All this business of 10 years, 12 years, 15 years. No, 15 minutes. Okay.
When they started the talks, they were 8 months away from having a bomb. When they started the talks, that was a year ago. So, yeah, they've got it.
And when there's no other options, when it's now or never, then Israel is going to strike. They have no choice.
They have to.
And and then the world's going to gang up on them. Right now, we'll be on the wrong side of that. If we elect a conservative, if we've got a conservative in the White House, when that happens, then we'll see. But right now, we would be on the wrong side of that. But that's what touches off World War III, which will kill 1/3 of all mankind.
Yep. When you think about that 1/3, though, I hope it's at 1/3 over on that end of the planet, not this end. But it's going to hit here just as bad. You know, I mean, because like you said, when it jumps off, you know, how many of our guys in the military are going to go, no, I ain't flying that mission?
I think over here, a lot of people worry about, China's going to nuke us and, stuff like that. Anything is possible. I don't believe that will happen. The potential for, somebody to set off an EMP that knocks us back to the 18th century, that's always a possibility. But I think over here, society just crumbles into a civil war that just, it just devastates everything. It's not that we're necessarily wiped out by that big war. There'll certainly be a lot of death and damage from that, but I think over here we just descend into chaos. I don't think China's going to nuke us or Russia. Anybody would love to have our natural resources. If China nuked us, then it would be extremely difficult to get to those natural resources. They may invade. They may very well invade. When our society crumbles into a civil war, then China might just invade at that point.
I agree.
There's a lot of theories, and when you hear them, everybody's got one, and when you hear them explain their reasons why, any of them, you can see a scenario where just about any of them makes sense. Since we have a commander-in-chief who is one of the enemy, and he's not one of us, I don't recall where I heard this, but I've heard the theory tossed out there that that he would allow limited strikes. Basically let China nuke our military bases, which would wipe out the bulk of our servicemen and women, leaving us basically unprotected, but not destroying the land, the resources, all of the people. But that he would literally sit back and let them strike our bases and not retaliate. Just another theory, but
yeah. And when you look at it, it's possible. It's possible. It's entirely possible.
He is one of the enemy, and
he's already said that. He's already said that. When it comes down to it, he's going to side with Islam. He's already said that, and he's never backed up from that statement.
Yeah,
he's been asked about it. Yeah,
he's a Muslim first. He's never been anything but a destroyer. He was put in office, or he was put there by the powers that be. In truth, someday they say all truth will eventually be revealed. I don't know that he ever actually won an election. He's been elected twice now. They get away with so much fraud, and the people in power to just do as they please. I mean, do we even know that he ever actually literally won either one of those elections? I don't know. I have my doubts. As bad as things are in this country right now, I still can't accept that many people actually voted for that son of a bitch. But
I don't think they did. And like you said, that's entirely possible now. 20 years ago, it wouldn't have been possible. But they've been chipping away at us. It goes all the way back to Joe McCarthy. Joe McCarthy was right. He was, they're out to destroy America. Why? Because America is the one thing that they aren't, where you can actually, you don't get your fiefdom handed to you by a king or a monarchy or an oligarchy or whatever. You can actually earn it and make it yourself. And it flew right in the face of every, monarchy in the world, which was pretty much the whole rest of the world other than us. So yeah, they've had a hard on for America for a long time, and they've put a lot of time and effort into it.
Oh yeah, a couple of generations, really probably three generations.
Yep.
Once it was, go back to the Cold War, post World War II. Once they see that, no empire has ever fallen on the battlefield. I mean, in the end, you come down to one war, one big battle or whatever, that's the end of it. But no empire falls on the battlefield. It rots from within, whether it's the Greeks, the Persians, Rome. It always rots from the inside, and that's exactly what's happened with us.
Greece.
You go back, like I said, post-World War II, you got the Cold War. They realized that they're never going to win outright. They're never going to defeat us and take us down. So infiltrate, and this was genius on their part, go right after the education system.
Yeah, go after the children.
They're not
if you've
going
got
to change
the children,
my mind. They're not going to change me. They're not going to change you. They go after the kids.
Right.
And they've been controlling the government schools. They've controlled them for 2 or 3 generations now, and so these half-wit, stupid kids that our schools are putting out are the result.
And it goes to the colleges. These places it's supposed to be higher learning, and all they are is indoctrination centers to Marxism, to everything that is not American. And they get away with preaching this. They don't even allow the Constitution to be handed out on college campuses. They have a fit over that. You can't hand that out here.
Can't pass out the Constitution. Can't, certainly couldn't have, any sort of public prayer or anything, or any display of your, your constitutional rights. But you can, stand up and wave the ISIS flag. That's welcome. And you can do all of that you like. You probably saw the story. I'm sure this was a school in California. Guy, he's standing on the steps outside of one of the buildings on campus. Just stood there waving an ISIS flag, and he got everything from, some people just walk by and don't care, others support it, no problems whatsoever, and then he switched and started waving the Israeli flag. All kinds of trouble. From the student body who have been indoctrinated to hate, hate Israel, hate the Jews, hate America. But when there was an ISIS flag, it was no problem. Everybody was accepting of that. That's protected speech. Farrakhan, the other day, I'm sure you heard the comments. Louis Farrakhan publicly called for the murder of white people, and the feds have said that's not hate speech or an incitement to violence. That's protected speech. That's his First Amendment right. But
and
if
as well as
the opposite, yeah.
That's exactly what I was fixing to say. If a white, here you go back to it. You remember the story that was going on about the guy that was doing what was this white pride? They had a small white pride thing going on, and he was slammed for being racist and everything else. Well, if you can have black pride and you can have Mexican pride and you can have Puerto Rican pride and everything else, but you can't have white pride, why not? Well, you guys have been dominating everything for so long that, you don't need a pride. The hell you mean we don't need a pride?
We're the only group that doesn't have any rights now.
Yeah. And guess what? We're the ones that fought for everybody else's rights. Ain't that jack slick? But, hey, there again, they don't realize that, they're mistaking our kindness for weakness, and they're playing on it. And it's about run out.
Yeah.
It's about run out, man. I mean, you've got Oath Keepers in Ferguson, and that actually out in public and now armed in Ferguson. And they're trying to call them, extreme right-wing extremists.
Yeah.
Protecting.
Yeah, they're extremists.
They're extremists because they're the ones up here in the site and stuff. They're the ones burning stuff down. They're the reason we're burning. They're the reason we're looting these buildings right now is because, they're here. Bunk. They tried it in Dallas on I-35. They tried to pull the same, shut down the freeway thing over there. Dallas PD gave them about 20 minutes up there, and after that, they said, "All right, that's enough. You've had your time." And they loaded them all up. They got them off the freeway, and I think there was like 6 or 8 arrests in that. But Dallas didn't put up with that junk. I don't think they will anywhere in Texas. We had the Black Panthers. Never did hear much about this after it went down. About the community over in Garland. They had the incident at the pool where, they started
McKinney.
rushing in on McKinney. Yeah, exactly. Where they started coming into a neighborhood and thought they were going to bum rush the pool and that. And then you got the Black Panthers going to come in there and try to raise stink. That went away pretty quick. I don't know how it came out or how it ended, but it didn't end with a bang.
No, it was pretty tense there for a little bit. I was really wondering if something was going to set it off, what was going to happen. But when you're groups like that, your Nation of Islam, your Black Panthers, they're used to going places where the average citizen is not armed. And then they can act a fool and be thugs and criminals and do whatever they want. Well, then they thought, let's run down to Texas and raise a little hell. Well, everybody down here showed up with a gun, and all of a sudden they didn't want to make so much trouble.
Yeah.
It's a little different doing it down here. You can do that in Detroit and Baltimore and Ferguson and whatever. It's a little different down here.
Yeah, and we got a little bit different attitude about it.
Yeah.
You come down here and act a fool, we'll let you go home in a box. Either that or we'll take you to the hog lot and, fatten our hogs up. And,
yeah.
Where'd you say you wanted to build that mosque? Yeah. We'll just go ahead and bury us a hog out there where you bought that property at, and that'll be the end of that shit. No, it's not a...
Garland. You briefly mentioned Garland. I saw a story. I haven't read the article, but I saw the headline that these 2 guys that tried to shoot up that draw the prophet. I was at the event back in January that caused the protest out there, caused a bit of a fuss, and then they had to draw the prophet thing recently, a couple months back, and those 2 guys that tried to shoot it up. Turns out at least one of those guns was bought, came from the Fast and Furious deal.
Yeah.
I hadn't read the article, but I saw that headline that it turns out that gun was traced back to Fast and Furious.
That's a fact. And so, I mean, Eric Holder, the gift that keeps on giving. We've got dead Border Patrol agents over it and everything else. I mean, it's... How much more are we going to put up with? I pretty much have a limit on it.
Yeah, there doesn't seem to be an end to it. But he's another one that if we ever get a real attorney general, he needs to, well, I know what he needs, but he at least ought to end up at Leavenworth and spend the rest of his days there in the cell next to Obama. But
yeah, let him out once a week in general population just for shits and grins.
Just for entertainment.
Yeah. I mean, they've been doing that in the penitentiaries for a long time now. The guards let two opposing gang members get out there and just fight it out, and then they'll bet they'll be betting on them. But yeah, let them see what the inside is like. They'll really get a good dose of Islam in there. That's another thing. I mean, people don't realize it. There's two religions in our prison system. There's Christians. There's Christianity that gets, is allowed to be preached in there, and they also allow Islam in there. And you'll find that, most radical of the Islamists out here right now have been, in our prison system, and they're all up with that, hate Whitey and let's burn him and kill him, and we've been wronged and all this other stuff. They brought us over here as slaves, dude. We didn't bring you over here as slaves. Your own kind sold you into slavery.
Yeah. Yeah, they don't like to remember that part of history.
And then we were slaves. Well, so was the Irish. You see them up here wanting reparations.
There were tons of white slaves, and there were black slave owners, lots of them. But they don't like to hear that part of history because that doesn't fit the agenda.
Oh, and that's what I don't understand. When did people start getting away from from the truth being, when did they get so far away from the dang truth? Well, that's your truth. You're a white guy. That's your truth. That's not my truth. Truth is truth, dude. I don't care what color you are. The Confederate battle flag, that doesn't have anything to do with racism. Look what it was, what the colors stand for, what the stars and bars stand for. It doesn't have anything to do with racism. The war between the states wasn't over slavery either. It was over economics. The North had run themselves out of everything and thought they were going to come down and take everything from the South. Southern boys said, no, ain't happening. So what did old Lincoln do? Yeah. He said, okay, I'm going to free the slaves and that, but that was a talking point. It's like Ferguson. You got a kid up there that got wasted in that because he was a thug and he came out a cop. And that. He attacked the cop.
What do you expect?
Yeah.
Pretty cut and dry case, really.
Yeah. And so now they're saying, stop, hands up, which is a friggin' lie and a fabrication, from jump. And then you had members of Congress and stuff up there with their hands hands up, and that perpetrating the lie, perpetuating it. I mean, what the heck? Why aren't these people called out for what they are and put where they belong? Has it gotten so weak-kneed and milk-sop toast that nobody will enforce the laws? If they're not going to enforce the laws, burning a flag. Okay, they stopped locking people up in the 60s because they were burning flags in protest. But there's laws on the books about disrespecting the American flag and that.
Yeah.
But now they're not enforcing it. We've got immigration laws that go after businesses that employ illegals. They're not enforcing it. You've got sanctuary cities that, if they get there, hey, wet foot, dry foot, I get to a sanctuary city, they're not going to deport me and I can go about, I could be here. And these sanctuary cities are harboring, these criminal illegal aliens. I'm sure there are a lot of them up there that, came here to work and everything else, but they didn't come here the right way. And now we've got sanctuary cities that are in San Francisco. The guy that got shot out there, the guy had been deported 6-8 times, and that he should have been deported again, but they wouldn't let ICE do their job. They're responsible for that woman's death. They're they're an accessory after the fact. And before the fact, he would have been there if they'd have been enforcing the laws to begin with. Everywhere they've tried this model, this democratic, commie liberal bullshit model, whether it's Chicago, Detroit, wherever, it's failed miserably.
Yeah, it's never worked
You know,
anywhere. Entire nations, have followed the model, and it never works.
well, isn't that the literal definition of insanity? Keep doing the same thing, expecting a different outcome? I hit my I hit my thumb with a hammer, and it hurts. Okay, great. I'm going to hit my thumb with a hammer, and it hurts. I'm going to hit my thumb with a hammer, and it hurts. When is it going to quit hurting? When you stop hitting it with a hammer, dumbass. Jeez, what is the matter with these people?
It's all about
ultimately
it's about the globalists, gaining control of the whole world, and they do that by the spread of socialism, communism.
Yeah.
The Muslims are glad to help because it keeps everybody down. So
well,
they sneak in, in the midst of all the chaos and use the system to help tear down. But
dude, the socialism is funding their jihad in our country.
Yeah.
Socialism, them being on our welfare, all this other kind of stuff, them being brought in by the thousands in that due to some stupid deal that we had with the UN to help countries out that were that had refugees, and that now they're calling them all refugees, and they're nothing but Muslim jihadists coming over here that don't want to be in America. They don't like America. They don't like American stuff. They don't like the way we do things. They don't like the way we dress. They don't like what we eat. They definitely don't like the way we believe. In that, and everything that we are, they hate and they want destroyed. Why are they bringing them into our country? Oh, well, there was a reason for that back in 1941 or 50. It was 46 when we had to start with the UN and bringing them over here and that kind of. Well, okay, fine. Refugees from a war-torn country, I understand. Then how come you're not letting the Christians from those same areas come? Why aren't the Christians allowed to come? Why aren't they being given the visas and the passports and stuff to come to a Christian country where they can adapt and they can fit in and they are wanted and where they would want to be? I don't get that.
Yeah, you got Christians seeking asylum right now, trying to get away from ISIS, get out of that part of the world, and Obama won't let them in. But the Muslims are welcome. Bring their AKs and their bombs with them. Come on, everybody,
It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, he's one of them. You can't make sense of it because he's one of them. The enemy is in charge. So. Well,
just as I don't understand a reprobate mind, I don't guess he can understand my way of thinking either.
Yeah.
So that tells me that one of us got to go. I ain't going nowhere.
All they know is invade, infiltrate, conquer. That's what they do. That's what they're all about.
Well, that's what the Quran teaches them to do.
Yeah.
That's exactly what they were taught to do.
Those people that'll tell you that, Islam means peace. No, Islam, it doesn't even translate that way. Islam means submission. It means a type of peace isn't even a good word for it, but it means a type of peace that only exists after the entire world has submitted and is enslaved. Yeah, it doesn't mean peace, it means submission.
That's exactly what it means, is submission. Submission to the Quran, submission to the teachings of a pedophile goat humper.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, when it comes down to picking between two leaders, am I going to choose a guy like JC that went around healing the sick and that kind of stuff and doing all these great miracles and offering us, heaven, life after, a life after death and that? Or am I going to go and, follow some guy that says, hey, when you ain't got a woman around, it's okay to hump your goat, man. That's okay. Put your lust in the goat. It's okay. I just ain't turned that way.
No.
It doesn't make any sense. Can't eat pork. Okay. In the Old Testament, the Jews are told, don't eat pork. But everything can be consecrated. So there's a way. There ain't no way, no other way. Muslims, they just, I don't get it, man. What I've read in the Quran and that kind of stuff, it tells me that, that I'm the wrong kind of person for them, and that I'm the guy that they're supposed to kill. So as far as I'm concerned, they need to stay over in that part of the world, and we stay over in this part of the world. There's a lot of them over there. These need to get shipped back. What I don't understand is that these mosques that these guys come out of, like the ones that came to Texas from Phoenix, and that, why didn't anybody in those mosques give anybody a heads up? Because they knew what they were up to. You don't see anybody, in the Muslim world going, hey, watch this guy. Well, that we know about anyway, because I imagine if they were in there and they did do that, then the rest of them would probably do one of those honor things on them and take them out and cut their head off. So maybe there's some of that going on that we don't know about. But if there is, they need to let somebody.
They all support it. They all support it, even if it's passive support. Even if they just kind of give a little money or just quietly cheer or whatever. It could be passive support, but they all support it. I read something the other day that it said the extreme Muslim wants to blow you up and kill you. The moderate Muslim wants the extreme Muslim to blow you up and kill you. So the moderate just look at it this way. If you look at and I know that you read your Bible, you know you're a Christian, you know what it means to be a Christian, the teachings of Jesus. Even when we were referred to as a Christian nation, that does not mean that each and every person, even people that self-identify as Christian, don't live the way Jesus told us to live. So there's lots of people saying, yes, I'm a Christian, and it doesn't show in the way that they live. Well, the same thing is true of the Muslims. Their book tells them invade, infiltrate, conquer, kill the infidel. They convert or they die. There's no in between. It's very brutal. It's savage, and that's how it is. So all the people that believe that and subscribe to it, just because there are some who, I don't know, they're a half-ass Muslim maybe. They're the moderate. I hate that word, but they're the moderate. Doesn't mean they don't believe in that just because they don't actively take a part in it. And trying to separate the moderate from the extremist is one of the most dangerous things activities that you can engage in right now. There are way too many people in this country that, that's just 1% of the whole group, or that's just a few. The moderates, okay, I know. I have lots of Muslim friends. No, you don't, dumbass. You don't have a single Muslim friend. Their belief system orders them not to be your friend. They can pretend to be your friend. They can lie to you all they want. You do not have a Muslim friend. You do not have one single Muslim friend, and if you think you do, you're a dumbass. Unless you're one of them, you do not have a Muslim friend.
And when they come to the conclusion that you're not going to convert, off comes your head, Bubba.
Yeah. When they have no more use for you, or you're not going to turn, then yeah.
Yeah. Moderate Muslim, radical Muslim. Radical Muslim cutting your head off, the moderate's holding your legs down while he does. Okay, pretty much everybody's in the same boat. All terrorists in that. Right down I was posting a list of them. I don't know who compiled the list. God bless him for doing it, but I have been cutting and pasting it and putting it on everything, every Muslim article I can find. And it's just this long litany of all the Muslim attacks and where in the Quran it tells them to do this stuff and everything. And it's amazing that out of all the terror attacks on the United States and pretty much everywhere else in the world, everybody that's done it is a Muslim. We had one here in the United States, Timothy McVeigh, that wasn't a Muslim, that blew something up that he wasn't supposed to, especially them kids. But he's the only one that I know of that was a terrorist that wasn't a Muslim.
Yeah. It's the only one I can think of. And since then, the other, I don't want to call them acts of terror, but not Islamic or, jihadist type of stuff, but some of these, like Aurora, Colorado, Newtown, I think the government, I've reached a point, I used to think this was a crazy idea, but I've come to believe the stories I'm hearing that the government's manufacturing this stuff. They can take these guys and warp their minds, pump them full of these psychotropic drugs, and they're either causing these things to happen or they're completely manufacturing it. I don't think Newtown even happened. I really don't.
When you see the pictures of the, what was it, these actors, these disaster actors and that, and you see the one, was a lady up at, her picture was, she was giving testimony up there in Newtown, in Newtown, that her kid was killed. You see another picture that looks identical to him in Florida, really? Doing the same thing. Okay, I understand people have doppelgangers and stuff running around, and that I've seen that a couple of times, but this keeps on being a consistent scenario that their identical twin shows up somewhere else in a completely different situation. We've just had 2 more go on in theaters, with guns and axes and stuff. When are they going to learn that, a gun-free zone is nothing but a shooting gallery for a demented mind?
Yeah, that's
what would stop the environment. Yeah, that's all it is. And that's where chicken shit's going to go, because he doesn't want to get shot at. And there's a lot of chicken shits. Oh, I'm going to kill myself when it's done. Yeah, you chicken shit. Why don't you give us an opportunity to shoot you beforehand? Or, or like happened because they came from, caused a ruckus, and, an old traffic cop shot him. Oops. Bye-bye. It's pathetic. But it's the times we live in. So I'm just going to get used to it, stay prepared, stay sharp, and keep my head on a swivel. Because just like, everything, it's right next to us. We brush up against it every day, and we don't even know that we have. We pass and repass every day and don't know what they are. And it's perfectly good reason for the Second Amendment, because you don't know when you're going to need it.
That's right.
But it's going to be hell when it happens and you don't got it and you need it.
Better to have it and not need it than to need it and not have it.
Absolutely. But, well, they still had anything more. Second, the gun up in the other than, he was a 54-year-old white guy that was having problems with his family and was on psychotropic drugs and, had a history of mental instability, but that's not going to come out good. Frustrated Democrat. Well, dude.
Liberalism rots your mind. Well, it does. It really. Think about it. Look at the rage that you get from liberalism when they, whether it's occupy this or that, or some kind of rally, or hands up, don't shoot, or just any of that. It's mob mentality, and it's just rage and anger and just that belief system and that way of thinking, it just rots your mind. It destroys their ability to think was taken from them in school, and it just rots your mind. It really does. It's like liberalism is like a mental illness.
And if they hadn't taken prayer out of school, and that, I see one big parallel between the time that they took out of school today. Things have gone equally as far in each direction opposite. The more prayer came out of school, the higher everything else got. When they took Looney Tunes cartoons off because they were too violent.
Yeah.
And this would be a terrible analogy, but I mean, we went from point A to point B. It's on the air, and where'd the violence go? Straight to the roof. You know, keep telling these there ain't no hope and there ain't. What do you think they're going to do?
Now they want you to think that the violence in the cartoons makes people violent. Young boys playing with cap guns is going to make them violent. I grew up playing cowboys and Indians on a daily basis when I was a kid. I never shot anybody.
I finally figured out why they did that. Because, good guys shot bad guys. Okay, if you're a bad guy, the last thing you want is a good guy shooting at you. Stop making so many good. How do you do that? Stop letting them see who the was, and letting them know if you see a bad guy, you're supposed to shoot him.
Well, part of destroying the society, you have to destroy. In order to do that, you have to destroy the family, and to do that, you have to destroy fatherhood. To do that, you have to basically destroy manhood. That's why you can't. There's no such thing as boys' toys and girls' toys anymore. Even Target. I'm standing outside of Target right now, and there's Target's removing all of the labels, for what is a boy's toy and a girl's toy, and cap guns can't do toy guns anymore. It's all about destroying, the wussification, the sissification of, men in general. That's what liberalism does. All this, everybody's the same she-male tranny BS that we're being having to listen
dated
to
with.
And see every day. And you've got to destroy the nation. You've got to destroy the family. To do that, you've got to destroy fatherhood and men in general.
They took Bruce Jenner, who at his time, it used to be a good thing to be a red-blooded American male. He's a red-blooded American man. That stood for rugged individualism. And now they've taken what one is considered a red-blooded man, clipped his nuts, and made him into, I don't know what, a shit. A shit.
A thing, yeah.
A thing. Well, what's up, thing?
We
that's
have
what
to
it
hear an
means.
update on
Thing.
Every day we have to get an update on what it's doing too. Every day we hear about it.
Yeah, rubbing it in our face. Just rubbing up on you. I'm going to rub this on you, and you're going to hate it. And you can do about it because we protect it. And you know what? You cause it protect us. Ain't like a dumbass. That's what. It's fixing to come full circle, baby. And when it does, really, really not want to be in the position you're going to be finding yourself in.
Yeah.
That's like, oh man, it keeps leading me right back to Jesus, and that he died on the cross. He died for our sins. He died so we could have a relationship with our Father, and for people to knowingly take that gift and say thanks, and by the way, fuck you too. When it your comeuppance, I hate to gloat I think, God help me, I hope I don't bloat, but right on. It's not going to really bother me seeing. I have to pray about that because that's just not right. I hope he takes that out and exchanges it with something else, but I sure hope he waits until after we get through stacking them up like cordwood to do it.
I saw something the other day that, and I believe it was referencing the military. I believe it was specifically Marine Corps. I think it was the Marine Corps, but it said it's God's job to judge the terrorists. It's just our job to arrange the team.
Yep. Yeah.
I'm not the judge. And all this stuff and everything we just talked about, and just look around the world around you and everything that's happening. It all has to happen,
Yeah.
It's all part of the story that's already been written, and it has to happen.
Exactly.
To get to the end of the story, and in the end, all you can do is honor, like you said, honor God, accept that gift, recognize and understand, and accept and proclaim who Jesus is, and try to be. You were talking earlier. I was kind of hit and miss. I was listening and then not. I had to set the phone down a few times. But we're talking about sharing. Oh, I think it was the atheist. You were saying you can't even get to them. You can't preach to them. You can't share it with them. They're already closed off to it. A lot of times, all you can do is be Jesus to someone. That example, that way you live, what they see in you, and is it genuine? For some people, that's the only Jesus they're ever going to see. And, yeah, there's people you can talk to and you can tell and you can teach. And then there's others that all you can do is just be that influence, be Jesus to them, model or example, model that to them and hope that they take notice. And they say, hey, what's different about that guy? He doesn't preach at me like all those church folks. He's not preaching at me. There's just something different about him. What is,
Absolutely.
I don't know where I was going with that, but it just came to mind. I was thinking about that when you were talking about that.
Well, earlier. Just all you can do is be yourself, and if you're a Christian, that being yourself and being yourself and through, and these they're going to see it, and it's either going to push them a little farther the way that they're going, or maybe it'll pull them a little bit closer to coming back. But hopefully the ones that, that aren't completely reprobate yet, that's the ones that we're here to tell and here to help. The reprobates, we can't do nothing for them. There's a place already built for them, but like you said, that's got to call on which one it is, which one, did accept it and which one didn't accept it. It's a bummer deal, buddy. But you know what?
I had to come to a place. It's really just been in the last couple of years, last few years, that this sort of sunk in, or I came to grips with this. I was raised in a really strict environment. I mean, I'm glad that we were raised in the church. Went to church twice on Sunday and Wednesday nights, and I'm very thankful for that environment and being raised that way. But one of the things about it being so strict, and so there was a lot of judgment, and so basically the church as a whole, Christendom, if we want to use that word, the church as a whole has gotten so bad about judgment and judging people. You beat them over the head with your Bible, and I had to come to a place of realizing that I'm not their judge. It's not my job to judge. Doesn't mean I don't care. probably care more after coming to that realization. I can talk to them, I can teach them, I can show them, I can try to model or example, like you said, but it's not my job to judge. And so many people feeling judged, being judged, is what has driven so many people from the church.
Yeah.
If you look at
preachers up there using that.
If you think of the church as like an army, we've all heard that reference, the Lord's army or Christ's army. If you look at the church or as Christianity as in that reference as an army, that makes Christ's army, makes that the only army that shoots its own wounded.
Yeah, especially in the Baptist.
Because I wasn't going to go there, but yeah.
Baptist minister, dude, I can say it.
Yeah, people will be shunned and cast out, and whatever it was they did, if someone falls, it may have to be dealt with, and depending on what it was and what happened, things have to be straightened out, dealt with, etc. People in positions of power probably have to step down and step away from that position. But to shun and to cast out and to curse, if you will, a brother or sister who's fallen to temptation or fell to whatever, it just blows my mind to how much you see that happen in the church. Like I said, the only army that shoots its own wounded.
I've been in churches that did that, and I've been in churches that when somebody did slip or have a fall, they'd get the usual cold shoulder and stuff. But once they if they ever did walk down the aisle and say, "Brothers and sisters, I have messed up. I'm sorry. I apologize. Please forgive me," they'd be flocked on, man. I mean, just flocks of people. It's worth it. Get piled on so bad, and that they come out with bruised eyes and stuff. But it's all in. Brother, we love you. We're glad you're back. Let's keep on going. And I've been in churches like what you were talking about. That if you had one good hiccup, I mean, they kicked you out of church. You weren't allowed back in the church. You were excommunicated from that church. You were, I'm sorry, when another church calls, and that if you go to another church, don't tell them that you came to this church, because we didn't know you. And, I guess that worked for them, but, what was that pastor's name? Doggone it. Oh, years ago. He got caught with the hookers. Doggone it.
Was that Falwell?
Yeah, Jerry Falwell. Yeah, Falwell. And what was his other buddy's name? Doggone it, there was another one. Anyway, my aunt, boy, she followed him, and everything else. And whenever he got caught with them hookers and stuff, and that everybody was had fun going up to her, teasing her about that. And that, there's your man. He done fell from the throne. He look at him, covered in sin. And how could you follow somebody like that? And my aunt, without fail, she just look at him and go on about it and everything else. And she'd say, everybody's sinned, and everybody can get forgiveness, but you got to ask for it. And that, besides that preacher was a man, and he told us, I don't know how many times, men lie, men will deceive you. God won't.
Yeah, a lot of people fall into that trap of kind of worshiping the preacher, or worshiping
he's
the words
the messenger.
and the
He's not the
actions
message.
of the preacher.
Yeah, he's the messenger. He's not the message. Messengers, I mean, you and I, we're messengers, okay? all our flaws and idiosyncrasies and everything else, we're still messengers. We still tell people about the good news of Christ. We are still messengers. Don't judge that message by the messenger. You better look at that message. And, I love my aunt so much. She is, he was a messenger, man. What about his message do you find fault with? What about Jesus Christ and that salvation and that do you find fault with? Oh, nothing. But look what he did. He was out whoring around. What's that got to do with the message? She was slick. Aunt Erlene. Well, I'll tell you what. She's something else.
Yeah, the message didn't become. If the message was true before, it didn't become untrue because of his fall. Because of what happened. It didn't.
Absolutely.
It didn't make the message from before untrue. Now we live
Absolutely.
in an age. We live in a time where a lot of people are following, false message, false teachers.
Well,
and they're blind to get into that. Get into that, worshiping the messenger, and they're being led astray by false teaching. There's a lot of that going on right now, but.
Yeah, these churches are tickling people's ears and stuff. And I'll tell you what, I'm glad old Franklin Graham's standing up and saying the stuff he's saying. He had a big set of shoes to fill, and I'm glad he's stepping up to the plate because we need people like Billy Graham now. We need more preachers like him, and Franklin seems to be striking the same right. That when I read what he said and stuff, I find my heart in nothing but agreement with him, and that's what's really really great that we didn't lose on Mr. Senior, and that we have a consistent player in that. That's just kick butt to me.
Yeah, it's really something that he's willing to take on that mantle, to follow that being called to do so, he's willing to do it, because that to try to follow in his father's footsteps like that, the pressure, the enormous pressure, and to try to be
absolutely.
For anybody to try to be that voice, but then to be the son of the man that he's the son of, to be humble enough to say, I'm sure there was a point, probably a recurring point, where he says, Lord, is there anything else in the kingdom I can do? Is there another job you have for me? But he's willing to do it if that's the calling, That's really something to see.
Yeah, I'll tell you, I'd rather go clean the toilets than have his job.
Yeah, someone willing to stand up and be like that. And then the other side of the coin, you have your, Joel Osteen leading the masses to hell. So, and I did just throw that opinion out there. I don't care who agrees with me; he's a heretic. But anyway. Yeah,
he is. And. He's a heretic. He's condemned, but with his own words. So, He did it. He's doing it, and we see it. It's a shame that he's doing it to those people. But I'm looking on the bright side. The ones that don't know that they're being done and led astray like that, I'm so glad that as long as they've got Christ in their heart as their Savior, that they're not going to be accounted for his, for his wayward teaching. But if they get into their Bible, they're going to see what he is, and they're going to get away from him. But that just tells you how lazy these people are. They don't even want to get in their Bible to see if SOB's telling them the truth or not.
They like the message because it makes them feel good.
Yeah.
Tickles their ears, like you said. That's why they like it.
Yeah, it's. And I'm looking at Franklin Graham's page right now, and says there's been a lot of media stir around Donald Trump since the GOP debates Thursday night. I'm not endorsing Donald Trump or any other candidate, but one thing for sure, he's shaking up the Republican Party and the political process overall, and it needs a shake-up. Washington has become so corrupt and off focus. We have some great individuals running for president in 2016. My advice, stop taking shots at each other and get back to telling the American people what you do for this country and how you're going to do it. It is my prayer that God will give us a president who will look to him for wisdom and direction as he or she leads this great nation. That's Franklin Graham. That's a quote from Franklin Graham. And, you know, right on, dude. Right on. Quit taking the cheap shots at him. You know, I mean, you go back to a statement that he made about women being fat pigs and, need to be on their knees and stuff. Well, where was he at? What was he talking about? And everybody talks that way. You know, you don't want to, may not want to admit it, but locker room talk. It don't mean squat. And how is that?
The soundbite to find out one thing. You can easily find one thing to tear anybody down. And that's what politics has descended into, is just dig up that thing we can use to tear this one down so we can move on to the next one.
Yeah. And then what he's begging Kelly, I'm so mad she got blood coming out her eye everywhere. And I said,
oh, yeah.
He said Megan Kelly was on her head.
Yeah, that turned into a mess.
Well, why don't the rest of you? Why don't the rest of you guys go get in your wife's purse and get some Midol out and get that done? Talking about. Well, dude, we got about 90 seconds, and I want to thank you for staying with it. And hey, you made it so much easier to go.
I enjoyed talking
Hopefully
to you.
I'll see you
I don't know
next.
if you remember, you and I chatted a couple of weeks back. We ran out of time that night, and we're starting to close out, and I lost the signal. But I try to listen whenever I can. It's hit and miss, and I never know when the show's going to be on. Different days and different times, but I always enjoy listening to you. I sure enjoy talking to you. So keep it up, man.
Back at you, and it's every Tuesday at 6 p.m. and hopefully I'll see you next Tuesday.
Every Tuesday when? You kind of cracked up there. Did you say 6
Pardon?
or 7? What time on Tuesdays?
At 7 Tuesday, 7 p.m. Central.
Always at 7. Okay. Are the other
Always at 7.
When it's can't think of the name now. I'm sorry, but on the other nights, it just seems like the schedule changes. The show kind of comes and goes. Some nights I call in, there's nothing going on, and
I think they're pretty much. If you go to Rage Against the Regime, that you'll they'll have regular dates and times for the other shows. But me, I'm every Tuesday at 7 p.m.
Okay.
Hey, man, I appreciate you. I'll see you next.
Take care.
Take care.
Bye, brother. Bye.
Later. We end the episode. Bye.